It is a glorious, spectacular, perfect day. The lake is smooth as glass, and you're ready to go for a dive because you want to explore what lurks beneath the surface. But the last thing you want to do is waste half of your day on a small air tank where you have to constantly refill it. What if there was a solution that would allow you to be out there for a long time and just breathe the air that we're currently breathing now? Well, that solution, my friends, lies within this backpack. It's called the Nomad. And straight ahead, we're going to unbox it, set it up, and go for a dive so you can see how amazing this thing really is. Stick around. Hello friends, Bill here. Welcome into Bill's Reviews and Tech Tips, and we're going to spend just a couple of moments up here on the deck before we get in the water today, because I'm about to demonstrate for you a really cool product called the Nomad from a company called Dive Blue. Now, it was just a couple of years ago that I stood in this very lake doing an unboxing and demo video for a product that was a smaller dive tank, and it didn't come anywhere close to producing the results it claimed. But that video is largely what helped launch this channel, because 150,000 or so of you watched it, and of the hundreds and hundreds of comments we got from that video, the vast majority were thanking me for an honest review and saving the consumer about $1,000 in that case. Well, today, as we unbox and demo this Nomad unit from Dive Blue, I want you to know it's an entirely different concept. It's just that it also helps you enjoy more time in the water. So, without further ado, let's crack open the box. We'll take a look at what it looks like when it comes to your doorstep. I mean, this is unopened. And then we're going to take it down to the water. Just a couple of thoughts for you as we unbox the Nomad. The first one is, if you don't feel like taking the time to watch an entire unboxing part of the video, you're welcome to skip all the way ahead until we are in the water and diving with this kit. But part of the beauty of the unboxing process is that you really get a chance to see exactly how this will feel when it arrives at your home. In the case of the Nomad, it arrives so well packaged. It's got a very sturdy and secure backpack with the shoulder straps, and everything is perfectly placed inside. It is secured, and it's one of those things that you really want to pay attention to from the get-go, because as you use the Nomad more and more, you'll want to make sure that you return each of the elements to its rightful place in the case so that transportation is easy and efficient. After all, when you head out for a dive or for a swim, the last thing you want to do is realize that you left the flag in the tube back at home, or that you forgot the battery charger. By the way, we'll talk more about the battery in the moments ahead, but my recommendation will be that you pick up a couple of them, and we'll get into those reasons here shortly. In the end, this is what the kit looks like when it's completely unboxed. Really efficient, really high quality, really durable, and ready to roll. And that's it. That's the kit. It's all conveniently put together in this backpack that then allows you to take it wherever you want to go. Where I want to go is away from the deck and down to the lake. But first, the Nomad operates on a battery that slides into the bottom. I'll show you that in more detail when we get down to the dock. But right now the battery needs a charge, so let me do that, and then we'll head to the water. And now here we are down in the water on a picture-perfect, lake is smooth as glass kind of morning. It's awesome. I can't wait to take a dive with the Nomad. Before we do that, I want to color in some more of the details and take you through the setup of the unit so that you are ready to take it onto your boat or onto your paddleboard or wherever, and then go out for a dive. One of the first and most important components of all of this conversation that I want to make sure we don't gloss over has to do with the safety side of all of this. Normally, when most of us, including me, get a new gadget, a new device, a new toy, or something that we get to play with, the last thing we want to do is spend time looking at the directions, at the instructions. And here with the Nomad, the instruction book, which is sealed in this zipper pouch up here, is like, I don't know, it's over 50 pages long. And normally, honestly, I wouldn't pay the least bit of attention to it. but I did read through the vast majority of it, and it's pretty vital, my friends. This is not a complicated device to use, but it's a complicated piece of technology that if you don't do your parts correctly, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here, you could get killed. This is an air hose that's feeding you while you're underwater. And if you don't do things correctly, the air could just completely shut off, and all of a sudden you're kind of left wondering what just happened and then scrambling to get back to the surface. So please, please, please take some time to read through all of the manual to make sure that you are properly prepared for how to use this Nomad. It is a very cool piece of technology, but we want to make sure we're using it right. Now, when I was up on the deck a few moments ago, I said we were going to stop down and charge up the battery. This is the battery. And we charge it up. You probably can't see the LED lights, but all 4 of them are solidly lit right now, which means it is fully charged. The amount of time that it took to charge this was roughly about 30 minutes. So kind of keep that calculation in your mind, because I really believe you're probably going to want to buy an extra battery or 2 depending on how you plan to use the Nomad. The last thing you want to do is plan a big day around going for a swim, going for a dive, and then have your one battery go out after a little bit of fun. So it's probably best to have some swappable, interchangeable batteries. I will insert this into the unit here in just a couple of minutes. The first thing I want to do, though, is take you kind of around a bit of a tour. First of all, this is the unit. This floats. This whole thing goes in the water. And unlike other dive tanks where you have to take it to a dive shop or have your own portable pump to put air back in it, the Nomad uses the air we all breathe, and that air enters through this port on top. As we unfurl the flag, we're going to notice a couple things. The flag is just wrapped around this tube. So we're going to put the bottom part of the breathing tube in there. We will attach the top part right here. We want that to form a pretty good seal, and then we have our flag for safety up here. And this is really what the unit will look like when it is in the water. Now, I'm not going to set it in the water just yet because we have an open compartment on here where the battery goes, and I'll tell you about that momentarily. This part is your dry bag. This is where you're going to put all the things that you want to take with you if you happen to be out kind of by yourself, or if you're on a paddle board or a kayak or some other maybe unstable watercraft. Then you're going to want to keep track of your cell phone or your keys, your wallet. Those will all go in this pouch, and once we have the air hose unwound and extended in the water, this will attach with the bungee cords to the air hose. You're going to put it at the front end of the Nomad, which not only helps serve as another signal to boaters around you, but it's also going to help this become even more buoyant. If you happen to be out on a day where things are wavy and choppy, you don't want this to tip over. It's pretty stable, but you don't want it to tip over. And this flotation device / dry bag will help maintain the buoyancy of the Nomad. Now, a day like this, on a lake like this, you don't have to worry about any of that, but we'll still show you this in just a little bit. Most importantly, there are some specific sequences of events that have to happen when you get ready to fire this thing up. And one is that when you put the battery in and then you attach it, which we'll do in just a moment, you have to make sure that first you have, even if the flag's not in here, because you're not going to travel with the flag in there, there is always a rubber plug that you want to have in this air hole, air conduit. When you fire this up for the first time, and whenever you get a fresh charged battery and you slide it in there and you're ready to power it up, that hole needs to be uncovered. We're going to do that here by putting the hose into it. And now I want to take you around and show you what's happening here as we free up the long air hose. Because this part right here, I don't think you need it doesn't take a genius to understand this is the part that goes in your mouth, right? And on the side of this is the on and off release for the air to flow. We'll talk about that here in just a moment, but the first thing I want to do is take you to this side. And we are going to lift the hose up for right now, just enough so that we can slide up the battery compartment because it's time now to slide the battery in. Okay, so we've got the hose out of the way. Now, it's time for us to work through how the battery inserts and how things power on. I want to make sure that you're very well aware of how all of this comes together, because this is vital, not just to your enjoyment, but to the effectiveness of the Nomad. So, battery compartment is currently open. This sliding gate is vital because it's going to help seal the battery into place. But for right now, I'm going to set that off to the side. The battery slides into a slot here on the bottom. When we have the battery in place, it's going to sound like that. It's going to just slide into place. Before we do that, I want to make sure you see this connection process, because as soon as I connect this to the battery, you're going to hear and see, to some degree, the Nomad spring to life. It's an indicator that the battery is charged and that it is now active. And that's what's going to happen as soon as I connect this right to the battery. Here we go. So it powers up, it vibrates into place, and then it's crucial that we put this door back on, because now the Nomad is watertight. That's clearly an important part of this whole process. And I'm going to bring this back around, and while we're on land, I want to show you just quickly how this all comes together. Because as I open up the regulator and we allow airflow, whenever I draw a breath or whenever I hit the blue here, that's feeding air to my mouth, and that's when this springs to life. The Nomad is only engaged when I'm breathing in. So when I'm underwater and I take a breath in, that's what it's going to do. It's feeding me air that's coming through this hose. And I got to tell you, friends, I am able to breathe as normally and as easily as I am right now. It's really quite remarkable. And another reason for the blue button on the back here is that if you get the mouthpiece in the water and it fills with water, you hit this to force the emptying process. So it's just driving air through at a pretty intense rate. So if I close that valve again, there's no air coming through. I can press that button all day long. I can breathe in, but there's no air going through because I've closed it off completely. So clearly, while you're in the water, you want to make sure that it's wide open, which turns towards you, and then you're good to go. So let's talk about the battery for a moment, because once I'm underwater, it's kind of difficult to have this conversation. The battery, estimations in the user manual that it may provide, depending on your breathing intensity and regularity, could provide you with 25, 30 minutes worth of underwater time. That'd be awesome. We'll see. But the battery also gives you an indicator when you're in the water of how much power is left, because when it gets to a critical point, roughly 25% of the battery remaining, instead of drawing in a smooth breath where the whole thing just kind of goes like you heard it a moment ago in one big burst, it actually begins to pulsate. So you'll take in a breath and you'll hear dut, 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 dut. That's the breath that will come in. And as it starts to pulsate, that means you're getting to a critically low place in the life of this battery, and it's time for you to get back to the surface. See, the time to get back to the surface is not once you're out of air, because when the battery goes fully dead, you're out of air. So if you're keeping track of all this at home, and I'm sure you are, I'm picturing everybody with a legal pad and an ink pen writing down notes copiously, because that's how we do things in the era of YouTube videos, right? Right. Well, hey, at least tuck away in the back of your mind the thought of purchasing an extra battery or two so that your fun can continue uninterrupted when you're out on the water. And take a look at that spare air tank kit. Again, it attaches right to the harness so that you have that tank right here on your chest. And should some emergency arise while you're out swimming with the Nomad, you have a quick opportunity to regain an air supply from that spare air tank. So just want to make sure you're aware of all that. Okay, so at this point, we have the battery in. We've got the flag up top. We're going to open up the airflow again. Still ready to go. I think we've got everything in place to go out and take a dive. So how about this? How about I stop talking now and we go underwater and show you how the Nomad looks from both under the water and above the surface, so you can get a good feel for how this cool bit of technology can really be a game changer for how you enjoy your time out on the water, whether it's a placid sheet of glass like the lake here today, or maybe something a little more adventurous somewhere else in the world. It's time to dive. Okay, as you can see, we're in the water. We're ready to take a dive, but before we do, I want to remind you of a couple important things. Number one, please go through the entire manual. There's a lot of really important safety tips in there, and there's very careful guidance for how to put this harness on. Why is that so important? Because you want to have the mouth regulator in exactly the right spot so you can turn your head left or right without putting any strain on any of the hose. You're only going to figure that out if you go through the instructions. Trust me. Now, if you do it a couple times, it'll become second nature to you. But at the beginning, it makes no sense whatsoever. We've got the dry bag on here, serving as a little bit more of a signal to other boats in the area. And we've got the battery, of course, firmly implanted in here with the hatch down so that it's completely airtight. And as I told you earlier, the Nomad just floats along with you. I've uncoiled all of the hose. You do not want to leave the hose coiled around the unit while you're swimming, because that could form a kink in here, and then you're not getting any air. We got to make sure you're getting a free flow of air at all times. And then on the mouth regulator, we're going to turn this knob towards us, and we're good to go. Just a simple breath in, and this thing fires up to feed you air, and it is as smooth as can be. You're breathing, by the way, completely normally. This is not a difficult gasping for air. If you're gasping for air, you've got a problem. This should be very easy breathing with the Nomad responding every time. And as we go underwater for the first time with this Nomad, there are a few key factors I'm paying special attention to. At the top of that list is the ease of breathing. I don't want to have to gasp for air. I'd like to be able just to breathe normally as if I were out on the land, and that's exactly what the Nomad delivers, and it is a wonderful contrast to some of the other products that I've reviewed in this category. The Nomad lets you breathe normally and breathe easily. Another factor that I'm paying careful attention to is that breathing cord, that tube. It's very long. It runs all the way up to the Nomad that's floating on the surface, and I wanted to make sure it was never going to interfere with my swim motions. Well, thanks to its proper positioning on that harness, remember, you've got to put the harness on the right way, but thanks to its proper positioning on the harness, I'm never interfered with when I'm trying to swim. Even though I'm swimming basically with one arm and holding the camera with the other, the Nomad delivered all the way through. Quite honestly, it delivered even better than I thought it would. And that, my friends, is from the unboxing all the way to the demo of the Nomad. It is really, really good. I mean, it's fantastic. I have not come close to putting it through its maximum paces. I haven't gone all that deep. Probably the deepest I've gone is about 10 to maybe 12 feet. As you can tell, there's a lot more hose available to you to keep on going down. You've got your safety flag up. You've got the dry bag serving as another notification for any boats in the area. And I can't say enough good things about this unit and this concept, because for too long, we've been trying to fill tiny air tanks that run out of air in just a couple of minutes. And here, you get to breathe natural air, and it never runs out. Got to pay attention to the battery life, and so far I've been out here for probably close to 25 minutes, and it hasn't even started the sputtering that indicates it's running low on battery. So kudos to the team at Nomad, and if you want to pick one up, we'll have a link for you in the description below. Thank you for diving with us, and as I said at the very outset, a few years ago when I reviewed a product that was an air tank and it under-delivered dramatically, I was kind of looking for something like this. It's so good to know that the Nomad exists. So here's hoping you have happy diving in the days ahead. If this review has been helpful to you, please hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time on Bill's Reviews and Tech Tips. Now, if you'll excuse me,